The New York Knicks' start to the season has been up and down. They started off the year an impressive 5-1. Bing Bong was trending. Bing Bong! And it was good times in New York. Since then, the Knicks have fallen off a cliff as they're 6-10 since that good start and now sit at 11-11 and 10th in the East. Naturally, the New York Knicks are going to get linked to any big name that hits the market, and today, that big name is Damian Lillard. According to Stephen A. Smith, the Knicks are the team that Damian Lillard would favor if he demanded a trade from the Blazers. According to Stephen A., some people in Dame's camp wants him to go to the Sixers, but New York is his preferred destination. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of the video, I'm going to give some context and talk about Damian Lillard and the Trailblazers so we can see how we got to this point where he could potentially get traded to the Knicks. Damian Lillard is currently having a down year from an individual standpoint. He's only averaging 21 points per game, down from 29 last year, and he's only shooting 40% from the field and 30% from 3. While Dame hasn't been playing well this year, I don't believe this necessarily means his career is on the decline. Dame has started to play better as of late. He's averaging 24 points and 7 assists per game on 43% shooting from the field and 37% from 3 in his last 7 games. So his play is starting to pick up. Many other stars like Jason Tatum, James Harden, and D'Angelo Russell are also struggling with their shooting to start the season. The league changed the Wilson ball, and as a result, field goal percentage and 3-point percentage has been down league-wide. Damian Lillard, when healthy, is a top 10 player, and I'm of the belief that he'll eventually get back to his superstar status. Not only is Dame struggling, but the Trailblazers are also struggling as a team. As this video is being recorded, they're just 11-12 and ranked 9th in the Western Conference. The Blazers had a lackluster offseason in 2021, and it really shows with how they're playing this year. Their defense is terrible, ranking 29th in the league in defensive efficiency. Their small backcourt of Dame and CJ is bad defensively, and they don't have enough good wing defenders on the roster. The Blazers throughout most of Dame's tenure have been a good, not great team in the West that loses in the first round, and this season appears to be no different. The Blazers recently fired their GM, and with Portland being in a state of turmoil, there's speculation that the Blazers may look to press the reset button and trade Damian Lillard. This is a team that's consistently in the middle of the pack, and they're way over the cap, meaning there's no cap space and no feasible way for them to become contenders anytime soon. The Blazers had a good run, 8 straight playoff appearances, including the conference finals in 2019, but it's clear that this Blazers team isn't going anywhere. The longer that the Blazers wait, the less value they'll get back in a potential Damian Lillard trade. And after another bad start to the year, the front office may finally be willing to trade their franchise player. Now this brings us to the New York Knicks. The Knicks are on the opposite end compared to the Blazers. While Portland is close to pressing the reset button, the Knicks are on the come up with a young team and wants to contend in the Eastern Conference. Julius Randle has emerged as an all-star, but the problem in New York is that he doesn't have enough help on offense. The Kemba Walker addition has been a dud. RJ Barrett is inconsistent, Evan Fournier is inconsistent too, so there simply isn't enough elite shot creation on the floor for New York. Damian Lillard would be the perfect star to put next to Julius Randle. He's an offensive juggernaut that would help to take the offensive burden off of Julius and make life a lot easier for them. He's also the clutchest player in the league, while Randle struggles mightily in the clutch. So these are two players that could really complement each other. If Dame hits the trade market, expect the Knicks to be one of the main suitors for his services. We already mentioned that Stephen A. believes Dame prefers New York, but it's been reported in the past that Leon Rose wants to be aggressive as the Knicks hope for a blockbuster trade. The Knicks are looking to trade for a star. They're just waiting for an opportunity, and this may be their opportunity. There's definitely pros and cons to the Knicks trading for Damian Lillard. On one hand, Lillard could potentially make the Knicks contenders in the East. Lillard is a top 10 player in this league. If you had a dynamic duo of Dame and Julius and put some good pieces around them, the Knicks will undoubtedly be a legit title contender. They likely wouldn't be the favorite, but they would certainly have a shot. Some people are concerned about Dame's age, as he is 31, but Dame is a player that will likely remain elite for years to come. He's not an injury-prone player. He's played in at least 66 games in every season of his career. He's also extremely athletic and one of the greatest shooters this league has ever seen. Unless he has a catastrophic injury, Dame will likely remain elite well into his mid-30s, so that's the reason to trade for Damian Lillard. In terms of cons, a Damian Lillard trade would be good in the short term, but could hurt the Knicks in the long term. The Blazers will not be trading Dame for a low return. Other contenders like the Sixers will have interest, and everyone knows Dame is a superstar, so it's going to take a massive package to get him to New York. If you're the Knicks, you're likely going to have to trade RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson plus draft picks, and you're going to have to package contracts like Evan Fournier to match salaries and make the trade work. By getting rid of these young pieces, the Knicks would have a much shorter window, and instead of being competitive for the next 10 plus years, they'll only be competitive for about the next 5. For the Knicks, it may make more sense for them to hold on to their assets and play the long game. RJ Barrett is struggling right now, but he's only scratching the surface of his potential at age 21. Let's not forget that he averaged 18 points per game while shooting 40% from 3 and making strides defensively last year. He's already proven to be a very good player, and he's only going to get better from here. Mitchell Robinson is also struggling right now, but he has the potential to be one of the premier defensive bigs in the league. And their franchise player, Julius Randle, is only 26 years old, so he hasn't even hit his prime yet. If the Knicks just remain patient and allow their young guys to develop, they could be the team that has next. The top contenders in the East will eventually get old, which will open up a window of opportunity for the Knicks. The Brooklyn Nets, Milwaukee Bucks, and Miami Heat all have core players that are currently in their 30s, so the landscape of the East will look much different in 3 years. If the Knicks just stay patient and continue to draft and continue to develop, they could be one of the top contenders in a few years. Furthermore, in a few seasons, there will be some young stars that will hit the market. Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, Brandon Ingram, and Jason Tatum are all currently set to be unrestricted free agents in 2025. A lot of these guys are playing for small market teams that likely won't win a title soon, and as long as the Knicks are a good team in the New York market, they will be a top destination. Historically, the Knicks are always a team that wants to make the splashy move that draws headlines instead of remaining patient. The best example of this is probably the Carmelo Anthony trade. Carmelo gave the Knicks some good years, but it could have been even better if the Knicks had just waited 6 months for him to be a free agent instead of gutting the roster for him at the trade deadline. The Knicks had a nice team around Amari Stoudemire, but the Knicks traded damn near half the roster plus draft picks for Melo. The Knicks got to the second round with Melo in 2013, but that's the furthest they ever got because they couldn't put enough talent around him. The win now moves have never worked out for the Knicks and always ends up hurting them in the long term. Sometimes it's better to just play the long game instead of making a blockbuster move. Acquiring a player of Dame's caliber would be awesome in the short term. The Knicks would instantly become much-watched basketball, ticket sales would likely go up, and they would likely become a much better team. But perhaps the Knicks need to just remain patient, build slowly, and remain competitive, and an even better opportunity will come down the line in a few seasons. A Damian Lillard and Julius Randle duo probably isn't a championship team in the tough East. The Knicks could end up hurting themselves in the long term for a few years of exciting basketball, which wouldn't be the smartest move for a team that wants to eventually win the title. Anyway guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Do you think the Knicks should make a trade for Damian Lillard? Tell me in the comments. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed this and want to see more dope content just like it. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.